to shut up now and listen to Lindley or Tyrone or me or someone else go on their tangent of thought, you discover that there's so many different perspectives, like you were saying, to this one discussion or one point, that I maybe need to sit down when I get off the show or off the gathering and digest what I just experienced, because generally people's experiences are so superficial. When they engage with one another, it becomes like sociology, and they just, yeah, how's it going? That's cool. That, and you have the general back and forth. How's the family? Family's good. How's the kids? Kids are good. You start whether COVID, yeah, that. And the conversation never gets to the depth where it actually adds value and is thought provoking, and in a sense is rich. I mean, if there's any connotation to Bitcoin and gold, the only way you find that is when you dig for it to find the actual value in something. And what we said, it took a time. I mean, there's this reality show, I think guys see the gold diggers where these people are competing to find gold. So American, like we were saying earlier with Videsh, they just feel like they're the right way of doing things. But the journey to find that little bit of value and the way you must come together,
Hey,
it's
when
so
we
unique.
live, don't mention names. Eh?
And the and the feedback that you get is that people won't stick out for the journey to dig deep enough to find something of value, and the little bit of nugget that we found was the truth, and that's what we're holding on to throughout it all. I mean, just to come back to the topic, which was a topic earlier before we went live, is that if we take our parental guidance and advice into consideration, and Lily shared that they had access to PCs, and I mean, I can understand the son of a principal, or the family where the father's a principal, and a family where the father's a pastor. And in my household, the father was first they had a family business where they chopped wood. And by the time I got to know him, he was a soldier in the army. So his mindset was, I mean, when your dad tells you there's things he did during apartheid that he can never tell you, then you just like, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'll just thank you. And he always said life isn't a walk in the park. Life isn't like the world at home. And there's a lot of things he didn't know. So my reference to my experience with him was that, one, he didn't read any other books. He made a point of making the Bible this central book that just explains existence and wisdom. And from there, you derive your path through life. And growing up in a household with 15 children, them only having 2 bedrooms, him needing to share a room with 7 brothers. And when I see his room, I remember going to my grandmother's house. Bible, he was the one that was saved, the youngest of the 15. He wrote Bible verses on the floors, on the ceilings, and all 4 walls, the back of the door. So it looked like, when you go into like someone who's on drugs, like an addict or like a creative artist bra's room. And it normally smells like cigarette smoke and a couple of beers and some other stuff. And their wall is like uitgegraaf, if you can picture that. There's a few houses, friends I've had, and they just wrote graffiti on the walls. So that room looked like that, except it was Bible verses. So I think he was really wound up in that mindset, and that carried forth in the understanding that I probably existed with. There's a lot more to it, meeting you guys, but the value that I find in conversations is always when we dig deeper. And it isn't just the superficial, how's it going? And we have that with family and with friends. That you never dig deeper unless you really speak about issues that is pertinent and evolving, like having ATMs of digital
Okay.
currency.
Another thing we don't mention live.
We are super advanced, guys. We're
I
discussing
mean,
things of the future here at
but
Freshspace.
I almost want to ask, because I mean, it sounds like we were involved in the same thing. Like, almost like, how did that work out for us? Because you always hear, the Bible is the only book you need. You know what I mean? So I go, besides the interpretation issue, I mean, how did that work out for me? That is that is all I read. That's all I did. Same with my parents. Thank you so much. Thanks to my same with my parents, and I mean, I'm sure they'd like to take a different route in life if they could start over. You know what I mean? Obviously, how it was taught to them back then is very different than now.
I don't know. For me, I almost look at it like Lenny made mention once about unbalanced and what was the objectives and goals. You made reference to it earlier with your dad also. Like once I think once in that time frame and that time in civilization in South Africa, once you could nail down a house and a car and have enough money running through your household to sustain a family, you kind of made it. And there were 15 children, so but uncles and aunts took up different areas, geographical locations that were close to one another, and kind of supported one another economically, if that makes sense. That's how I always saw it. Even now, my mother and a few of the friends that stay in a certain area, they have a thing where they come together and they make cake, or there was sewing or things. So the one would receive an order and they kind of spread the work. They have their own little what do you call it? Small business minded subcontract situation, because some of them worked in factories and so forth and came home with that skill. So like, how do we put it to work? Okay, there's people that want dresses. I'll get the order. Can you make that? Can you make that? My mother to this day still does that with cake orders. There's just this auntie that specializes in that cake. So I'll get the order, and here's your sticky, here's my sticky. On the later scale, and if you upscale it, then it's something similar to what I, I would almost want to say Lindley introduced, and you as well, into my life. There's a variety of ways of making business where you are subcontracted into the entire event, but you must understand who the client is. Like though, and sorry.
Once again, mentioning names.
As a quick apology. Continue.
No, 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 no. I'm just saying names. Look,
How was it for you, Lenny?
what are we
And
talking
let me
about?
just say this though. The For me personally, I think there's value in reading and more than just the Bible. But I understand how the Bible has elements of development in the character of people. And for that, I can say my father had testament to that. He had character within his social circles and community.
Well, Naval Ravikant tweeted a quite tweet today. Um, Integrity is when what you think and what you say and what you do are all one thing. I suppose that is a lifetime of getting that going. But I mean, um,
Or like a moment to moment thing.
well, I mean, you ask yourself, what do you think about something? What do you ultimately say about something? And then what do you end up doing about that thing? And if that's not the same thing, then essentially you don't have integrity.
Mm.
Um, Integrity isn't a mental assent to the fact that I've got some ethical balance going on. My, I don't know, I think in the 22 years of reading the Bible, or maybe less than 22 years of reading it, um, if you look at it for what it is, man, like, I don't for 1 minute think, because I was having the discussion with somebody and they were saying, but the Bible says that anyone who ends or adds any jittle or tuttle or whatever will have this plagues. I'm like, okay, so the Bible is saying that about itself. The person who's writing it, he's saying based on what, um, where, who, why, and we must stop doing that. It's just, I'm not saying that the Bible doesn't have truth in it. I'm just saying that you are people conflate it with God. So when they say the Bible is the word of God, well, then it's the unchanging word of God. Um, there's a lot of things that's in there that is questionable at best, and it's out of context because you're not actually understanding the culture of the moment. And I'm not saying we must become Jewish to understand it, but there's a lot of things went looking for, and ultimately, what my path of life is always about is the truth. I don't seek to be a man of God. I seek to be a man of truth. I think they're one and the same thing. Um, The
Mm.
problem is when you come to truth
Different
and,
different
and, you,
mentals.
and you start talking about it, everybody has an issue with you. So my thing is, I don't care that you have an issue with it. If you want to
Mm.
live in lies, do it. But
Yeah.
don't stand next to me and expect me to agree with you. And I'm not saying that I have the truth. I'm walking my truth as they always tell me. Your truth is great. So then they saying, look, I believe what I believe. You believe what you believe. I'm like, okay. Well, let me poke holes at what you believe. You can poke holes at what I believe. Because I'm not married to my truth, and the truth isn't my cause. The truth will exist when I'm gone. It
Yeah.
existed before I came. So the thing is like, and I had this conversation with um that couple last 2 weeks ago, I think, and I said my problem with the woke generation is that they can't separate their cause from who they are. So they are like an offense waiting to happen. Because as soon as you say like a key phrase, they have a rebuttal already, and they've decided where you sit politically, belief wise, truth wise, and they've made the judgment on you. And I'm like, you can't be so blindsided to the truth because,
Yeah.
firstly, you're not on earth long enough to even form a proper opinion about life. There are books and books and books that are older than you that you have not read. And you're opening your mouth, making a judgment while there's basically an ocean behind your ears. So I
Yeah.
would say that the bare basics of being able to open your mouth is first be on earth 30 years. Then we look at the quality of the 30 years. If it's not great, sit down, shut up, learn. And when you feel like you have something to say, shut up and learn again. Go learn from people that have whatever. And that's my thing. Like, even if you become a Christian, sit down, shut up, and
Fine.
learn. I mean,
And it's, yeah.
are we that petty that we need to feed off the energy of a new believer? Just yes, but they're ignorant at best about what they don't know. Um, are you telling your wife you love her?
No, the small little girl, toddler. She
Darren,
is
I hope
trying to
you went
climb
to the
into the show.
1 year old party. Eh?
No, that man told me a day before.
Oh,
Huh?
at least I'm not the only one.
Nah, you can't. You must don't love your daughter. Unless he didn't want us there, man. So he sent us the invitation late, knowing we'd say we won't be able to make it. It's fine though.
Nah, the venue actually didn't want to accommodate any parties due to COVID-19. So it was one of those things that I was reverting to with the topic of the show, because they had made a decision that, look, if you have a booth, then you can only have 25 people according to the booking, and they haven't worked out on the square meters of the booking how many people you can actually have.
Oh, okay.
So it was a touch and go for a long time, and they only confirmed with us basically Wednesday.
Oh.
So then we had to make the arrangements. And like I said to them, I don't know if 25 people are willing to come. And like I made mention, it's a pop in party. So we set it up for people to pop in, pick up a party pack with their kids. If you wanted to go pick strawberries where there's enough social distancing, you could. We bought the buckets for you and the kids, so you could take it over, for example.
Oh, we would have
Lonely, you
loved.
could Lonely, you could take Lisa. You know, you take some kids to go pick strawberries. That's it. Come back, get the party back, and it was just 2 to 4, so 2 hours. It wasn't going to be major. Family stopped and popped in and left. But the place was packed though. There was no social distancing. No one wore masks. So it was at the end when we got there, we were like, anybody could actually came. Wouldn't have made a difference. What they were communicating with us was based on, let's just say, business ethics in the current epidemic. So I think now they don't have any parties at all or bookings.
Okay. Yeah, but I was gonna say something on what you said, man. Oh, with the
Me or
age thing.
Daryl?
No, thanks for that, Daryl. Don't worry, I'm not. Um,
Yeah, it's a
what I
kids'
want,
party. Yeah. Don't matter.
yeah. Yeah. I don't even think River knows Dang now exists yet. So don't worry about it. What I want to say is this: with the age thing, man. Like sometimes people can be on Earth long, but they still also not taking note, man. Like I mean, if you look at me, I'm 33 now. I still feel like a 21-year-old sometimes, man. You know what I mean? Just
Well,
with
I didn't finish my train of
oh,
thought.
oh sorry. Yeah.
But I mean, that's what it comes down to is that I think, if anything, what I bring to people's life is to become observant about the things that's already there.
Well
Um,
said.
and obviously, I had to go through that myself too. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that I was very observant up until 21. And there's also the ability to be intelligent in an area. So there's a very big difference to sort of, and I'm not a proponent of balance. I think balance is from the devil. Um,
If he existed.
well, I mean,
No,
uh,
I'm joking. You always say that.
nah, if he does exist, but I mean, obviously the
Well,
character.
wasn't what? Yeah, wasn't it? Sorry to break your word. Wasn't it Lucifer's statement? You will be equal. There will be balance in the world. You will be equal with God.
Well, I wouldn't say that would be balanced, but if you show me a balanced person life, I'll also show you a mediocre person's life. Because
Oh,
I don't think balance is something you should aim for. I think it's the result of,
Yeah.
and it's something that we get over time. But and I think that the church, by and large, is very good at putting the cart before the horse on these things. So they will always look. We know what a good Christian looks like, and then we put that up on the pedestal, and then your life needs to adhere to that. Whereas they're not just saying live your life, learn, make mistakes, try things. Because I mean, if you ever sat down with a fair amount of Christians, a lot of them are very fearful about trying anything new because it might get deceived. I'm like, well, I can 100% guarantee you're going to be deceived by fearing deception.
Yeah. No, it's true.
that is the deception in itself. Deception is deception.
Thanks, Russell.
No names mentioned. Oh, my word.
No, but I mean,
But
like when I met Craig, then they were watching DVDs. And I'm like, but it's the 21st century now. And now they do everything online. They've got fiber at home. Um, there isn't even a machine that can play a DVD. And I'm not
Good.
saying that technology is a metric for anything. It's just um, like for me, people are just not honest with themselves.
Yeah. I was watching us. Somebody sent me a link of Born Rich, or you were Born Rich. It's a Bob Proctor seminar.
Mm.
And I mean, it was 10 hours long. I mean, I watched some of it, well, most of it. And the two main, I say the three main threads is first of all, no, you don't know. Like that you know everything you know about something, you probably don't know. The second thing was you always have to keep your eyes open. Man. So the minute you trust something, you have to look around and say, okay, what's the next thing? And then obviously the last thing is you must know what you want. Man. So I was laughing. So I was like, yo, this 10 hours, I got this 10 hours in a 15-minute conversation with like 5 years ago we met. What I mean is, the stuff you take for granted, man. But in the end of the day, if you don't know what it is that you're going for, or what you're supposed to do, or whether it's something you're supposed to do or something you decide to do, then it's easy to get stuck in something, man. You know what I mean? Especially if it's like a Christianity thing where, oh,
Mm,
so
mm,
my job and how much money I have doesn't matter. Okay, cool. Then I'll just get stuck here in mediocrity, and yeah, because you
yeah.
shouldn't forego your purpose for balance, man. You know what I mean? You must learn to balance out the things you have, but you shouldn't forego your fullest potential or what you could be for the sake of the fact that it could go wrong. Yes, there'll be risk. Yes, there'll be circumstance, but in the end of the day, you must decide: do you will let your circumstances teach you, or you will teach your circumstances? And you can't be that way within a structure where there's one guy telling you what to do all the time. Man. So, like in a case where whether it's the Bible or church, that is like a surefire way to create mediocrity, man. Because nobody's gonna, as you say, think for themselves. Nobody's gonna go have life experiences because there's a guy going, no, don't try, watch out for that. Before you do something, come speak to me first. You know that whole culture, man. Besides now the one that we
Mm,
know of,
mm,
it's just this thing of don't think for yourself. You know, no,
yeah.
plan,
Well,
man.
there's always the teaching of the thermostat and the thermometer. So,
Mm.
We'll drop the link below.
well, it's simple. I mean, are you a thermometer? So, a thermometer you measure temperature with. So it's taking the temperature of it and adapting to that, and that's how we know what that's the temperature. Whereas a thermostat determines the temperature.
That's correct.
So if you set the thermostat to 26 degrees, it will make the room 26 degrees. So if you as a human are a thermostat type or a thermometer type, it will be thermometer coming to the room, reading the room, and adapting to the room and taking on the climate of that room. Whereas if
Yeah.
you're a thermostat type, you'll bring energy to the room and change the environment.
Mm.
So similar to the boat analogy where you say a boat belongs in the ocean, but woe to the boat when the ocean gets on the boat.
Yeah.
So you don't take the temperature of the environment to determine what you must do. You don't first let water fall on you and then decide, ooh, what we're gonna do about it. You know
Yeah.
water is not good for it. Um and I don't know, it's like I'm trying to not go into personal details. Yes. But it's just like so one good thing that and if ever you spend some time with Vanessa Autumn, you must get her to teach you the amygdala teaching.
Mm.
Okay. Maybe you must
And
get. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just like there's three levels to the brain, and the third level has to be developed by learning, trying things. And that doesn't mean you don't operate as a human, but there's that phase of life that you will never know about unless you develop it. And that's brought about by interaction with people that have it, that do
Yeah.
it, and questioning things. And from what I know from neurology is that for a neural path, which is a thought process, when we create a new thought or we think a different thought, we actually physically like borrowing a pathway.
Yeah.
And the more you think about it, that pathway becomes like a highway then eventually.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I know that, and I'm not a motivational speaker, but it comes down to if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't.
That's true. Yeah.
Because the more you dig into this belief that things are solid and they need to be firm, the less likely you are going to change.
Yeah.
And maybe fresh space should really be called untethered. When you start removing that tether to solid things, you start discovering, and this is where people sort of run away from religion, if you want to put it that way, because they discover that there's a whole lot of things that's out there.
Yeah.
Um, but we try and tether ourselves to things that we know are solid, so that we can feel safer. And is that what we want? Do you want to feel safe? If you want to feel safe, that will infiltrate the way you do things. It will sort of color everything that you do. If safety is what you want,
I
ask
mean,
women about that. They'll end up in the worst relationships simply because they're looking for security.
hmm, yeah. I mean, you always hear people say the whole sink or swim thing. Sometimes people won't take that approach because they're scared of sinking them. But forget that you everybody has the innate ability to number one want to survive, and also we can all swim. We must just either learn or in a situation where we have to, man. And the truth is, the people who actually really succeed or do what we seem or deem extraordinary things are the people who actually go, yes, I'm scared. Yes, I'm not sure. But okay, I'm going to try it anyway. You know what I mean? And on the other side, you get to that, man. So if you look at all this, yeah, I already said it. So yeah, I agree with you. And it's difficult also being a person that was that way. It's difficult to get from that to here, get from a plan to look, I need to do it. I'll figure out the plan while I go, man. And I don't
Mhm.
use him as an example all the time. And this dude, Bob Proctor, so you're saying, or his theory is 90% of people that do something new, they don't know how they're gonna do it yet, man. But they still set out to do it, man. They see a problem, maybe um, they see something that's missing in the market, and they go, okay, cool, I'm gonna do that thing. And afterwards, in retrospect, they have a method, but the day they decided to do it, they didn't know how they were going to do it, man. They just knew this thing needs to be done. And if I can figure this out, somebody's going to do it, man. So it's like the same in life, man. Instead of us going, I'm unsure where that path leads. I don't want to waste time. And I know that time is a valuable commodity. But any lesson learned is not time wasted, man. So even though you feel like you took years going somewhere, if you can learn a lesson from it, then I say do it, man. I mean, yeah. I'm not going to put
Yeah, and
person.
I wanted to elaborate on what you said. You said earlier, Tyrone, about that when you made the point. You want to have an opinion, survive 50 years on planet Earth, and let's take it from there. And then you were saying some people can be in their 60s and they still feel like they were in the late 20s as far as understanding the world and being abreast of things. But that's a truth
Woman.
to a lot of people. And I think what stood out for me early was that I had read something that said that you won't live long enough. Learn from others because you won't live long enough to make your own mistakes, to make all the mistakes yourself. And it translates in your relationship with people. And when you really sponge off them and the experiences, I think you made reference to it earlier, Lenny, when you said what you add to people's lives is something that you had to experience yourself and then realize that, this is a truth and I can reveal this truth to someone. So the little elements of truth can be found when you really want to, embrace and understand the failures that people made as well as the successes. And fresh space for me, as much as like you say, what was it, untethered? It's also a space where you can really just be honest with that element of failure that you experience, and others can learn from it, as opposed to just speaking about the successes and being like Lenny was saying, a motivational speaker. I honestly want to say that you're more of a demotivational speaker. Like, the way
I,
that
I wanted to create a
the way that you
website
shit
called
on someone.
demotivation, like a daily demotivation. Like if you
Thank
think
you.
you're great, you're not.
Yeah.
You can use my face as the logo. Demotivation. Be like, this is what not to do. But if people can learn from what not to do, I mean, it speaks volumes of the transparency and honesty that we share on this gathering, a show, and whatever format it takes. It's maybe not a Black Lives Matter movement, but the three of us have kept moving. We're just
Maybe
doing
the
life.
reason why we stay small is because we're not a movement.
But that's okay.
But look, I can promise you, had we been in a different country with a bunch of different people and the context is slightly different, would be a lot more. But South Africa does suffer from a lot of different things. For one,
Spit that out.
the thinking for yourself is not a celebrated thing. Um, Generally, family strands are quite strong because I find like, and maybe it's because of my unique set of issues. Like family strings don't hold much onto me. Man. It's like to me, a human is a human. Yes, you might be my parents and my brother and my sister, but that doesn't negate you from the things of life as a human. Man.
Mm.
That's,
Yeah.
Like
there you go. China.
um, because I made a comment in the cousins group. I don't know how I ended up in the cousins group. With Lisa and them, and I ended up getting the
Yeah.
boot because of my comment.
Cousin-in-laws.
And I'm not used to that type of thing. Firstly, well, I mean, if you take offense to something that I say, the first person to speak to is me, man. Well, firstly, I was celebrating. Finally, I'm out of the group. I don't know how I got in there. Um, so there's less noise in my life, but like, and then obviously, you know,
Backlash.
well, I don't know if I got direct backlash, but I'm like, there's where I now had to now mend it purely for her sake. Because I told her I'm in at that stage in my life where even if my parents are not healthy human beings, they will just get the boot. I don't have that string attached of saying you're my mother. I will always no. If you do wrong stuff, I'm gonna call you out on it, man. And
Yeah.
if somebody else makes a comment that is derogatory, and maybe they call my mother a bitch, I'm like, my mother can be bitchy, eh? So I'm like, why must I take offense on somebody else's behalf who, quite
Mm.
frankly, could be guilty of it?
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm not going to defend you because of your relationship to me alone. I will look at the facts.
Mm.
If you are wrong, you are
That
wrong.
is that is very South African.
It's like
Well,
following
not.
the
I don't think
president
it's South
because he's the
African. I
president.
think. Mm.
You can't question the president. Following the pastor because you dare not question the man of God. Well, um, who is then? Must God Himself come down to earth and question the man? At what point does it become lunacy? At what point are you gonna ask yourself, is this healthy for me?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying in a selfish way. I'm saying it is not right for parents to manipulate their children. So when you start to wake up to see that it is manipulation, and trust me, somebody has to tell you that's manipulation because you don't figure that out on your own. Somebody tells you that's not healthy, then you decide what you're gonna do about it. Like I had to go through that.
Mm.
The meat.
Yeah.
So to me,
Same.
it's like I've walked through multiple circles of friends in my life already. But there's just times when the time is up. Like
Yeah.
when I took drugs, there was no reason for us to be friends afterwards. When I stopped,
Unless you
Yeah.
get each other at the rehab
and
and
even then, you probably
reminisce.
shouldn't be because you're
Exactly,
enabling
because you're just
environment.
gonna reminisce. Yeah, I remember that time. But yeah, I mean, circle of friends is also, I just want to say, defined of what positions you find yourself in life, the work and or social or voluntary positions. People just become, that nice word, an acquaintance. And friendship becomes something that is valuable, like something you need to dig deeper to actually have with someone. I touched on it earlier and lightly said doing life together requires a lot of work. It's not just like, we're just gonna Hey, how you doing? There's a lot of depth to it, and understanding and accepting people. But at the same time, the honest relationship to call each other out on bullshit is a defiant element or the cornerstone of a true friendship. If you don't have that, then you're just acquaintances and you can just have a superficial facade with one another and never call each other out on anything because it would compromise the friendship in itself or
But
the
there's two things
acquaintance
on that one
relationship, not friendship. Hmm?
that springs to mind. Firstly,
Look
for
what the
me,
daughter brought me. What are you?
hmm, hmm, thermometer. I don't know how the thing measures, but my thing is like if you then go to scripture with there's a part where people are saying Jesus, your mother is here. I don't know what the context of the mother, why it would be mentioned to him, but he says, look, those that do the will of my father, those he's saying basically that's my family. So for me, friends have always held more because these are the people I choose to be in my life. And obviously they chose me to be in their lives. But there's some commonality in that is that if you are living the truth and they are sharing that with you, that's the true family that you are with. Yeah, the family they if they decide on what they decide on life to be and their level of what do you call it, truthfulness they will live in.
Mm,
But that shouldn't subjugate you to live that life because
Yeah.
that's your family. Because you can't even, what do you call it, at the end of your life, i- when you stand in front of God, you're not going to be able to say, hey, but I was a Pele. That is not going to help you. Or
I
I
go
was a
ahead.
Marinus. And
Just go.
in the Marinus family, we don't do this. And that's not going to help you. So I
Yeah.
don't know why you are holding on to it like it's some sort of badge that is going to help. It doesn't help you. Your
Yeah.
choices is going to help you. How
Mm,
you decide to love is going to help you, and that's largely determined by the choices that you make with the people in your life.
yeah.
So family has the opportunity to be that, but they are certainly not that by default. um
Yeah.
yeah.
they have to fight like everyone else if they want to be in your life. And
Mm,
that is the thing, to be the master of your life is that you can literally throw somebody off the boat.
mm,
They're just taking up space that they don't need to. And to me it's like, are you gonna row with me or not? If not, fuck off.
mm.
Yeah. Some people are anchors.
No, but it's true. It's almost like a type of Stockholm syndrome, and like you grow up and you get told by the guy who wants to be in charge that he's the guy in charge, right? So let's say like your parents. So you've been brainwashed that no, we know what's good for you, man. And if you don't get to a point in your life where you start to break, I don't want to say break out of it like it's some kind of prison or whatever, but it could be, man. If you
Mm,
get stuck in it too long, where you don't make decisions for
bondage.
yourself, obviously present company included, um, it takes almost as if it takes like some kind of psychological external help for somebody to go, look here, standing on the outside, this is an issue that is happening and your life's not going anywhere because of this shit, man. You know what I mean? So how do you get through to someone that's like that? Not that you have to get through to them, but how do you get someone to go, look here, the people that have been teaching you everything you know actually only know till there. Now it's your turn. Start finding out shit for yourself, man.
I hate to bring up cliches, but I think it was the encounter where they said break the spiritual umbilical cord or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean,
Mm.
up until the point of the baby coming onto earth, that is their source of sustenance and everything that they know. If the baby could talk and stop you, it probably would stop you. So don't cut that thing off.
Yeah.
And the problem in growing up in life is that unfortunately it is a choice. It Yes, you might physically grow up. I mean, you can't stop the physical growth.
The maturity then.
But and I suppose it's easily seen in animals too. Is like if an animal is stunted, it doesn't stop the physical growth of the dog. It might just, like, if you abuse a dog when they're small, they grow up like that. It would be almost impossible for them to live a
Yeah.
normal life.
Mm.
Mm,
That's why they shoot a dog that bites people. So it's not like the dog is gonna unlearn that behavior. The difference for
mm,
us is we can. Um, but the thing
Yeah.
is, how can I say? That's why one needs to start looking around at the people and the things that you spend time with. Is that um, do we have people that actually speak to us like it's the truth?
Mm.
And
mm.
I know what it's
Yeah.
like when you hear the truth for the first time. Everything in you fights it, and you defend yourself against it. And but ultimately, if it's the truth, you can't fight it. You will just reface it again.
Um, I signed up for this 10x nonsense. I don't know if you guys know this dude. You must know him. Grant Cardone or something like that. He's got this 10x conference, man. So anyway, the one that's
Mm,
already done, but it's a thing you must go to. But the one that's already done, he sold for like $20 whatever, so I could buy it. Not buy it, but sign up to watch it. So yeah, John Maxwell on there, man. There's the Steve Harvey, John Maxwell, Kevin Hart. So they're three different guys. And one thing that all three of them said was, you can't be around people that make you feel that what you're doing is okay, man. The minute you're around people that's like you're doing a great job all the time, that's when you must worry. So you must either be around people that want to make you better or that wish that they could pull you down. Those are the two types of people that are good for you in your life. Because the one type of person is gonna pull you higher, the other kind of person is gonna remind you of where you were, man. Or it's gonna make you like almost like put you at ease, like I'm doing something right if they want me to fall, man. So you're on the right track there, man. You're on the right track. Because sometimes, because obviously, if you're
yep.
gonna get stuck in that place where everybody's just telling you what you're doing is good, you're never gonna grow past that point. You need to attract something that's gonna push you or put a fire under your ass now and then.
Is that Lindsay?
Where?
I'm
Oh, I
hearing a
think it's
voice.
my house. No, I think it's
Uh,
my. Oh, okay. Yeah, my house has got.
No, they're in the room, yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it's hard. Like it's hard at first, but once you start to see the value, then you look for it, man. Like in the
mm,
beginning, hearing, nah, it could be better. No, 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 not that. No, why would you do that? That's the wrong thing. Why didn't you look at this in the beginning? It's uncomfortable, but once you start to see the value of it, now you look for it, man. And when you're in that company, you go, but what do you think about this? Then you're almost greedy to share your idea to hear where the flaws are, man.
Mm, mm.
You need to share what it is you're gonna do, so you can hear somebody go, no, you're on the wrong track there. Maybe try this, try that. You know, and at the end of the day, it just grows you, man. And if you, I don't want to repeat myself. Yeah, it just grows you.
but look, where I must say I have trouble listening is when somebody has got no experience in something, but they are the master in explaining what you must do with your thing. I'm just like,
Hashtag influences.
so I don't know when it's like even I sort of question my own things to a degree because like I know I can help other
It's,
people make money, but there's certain areas that I'm not good at. That doesn't
Okay.
mean that I don't know it works, like social media posting and stuff like that. Other people just, I mean, they'll say simple things. I'm like, that sounds so simple, but it
Mm,
works. Um, so for me, I can get overly detailed, which is unnecessary to most people to sell. Um, and I'm saying this maybe in the monetary side of things, but like in sound, it's easy because people assume when I sell sound stuff that there's some things that I don't know because I don't talk in a scientific language. I'm like, they are not scientific people. Why would I talk about phase and all those things? It doesn't mean I don't understand it. It's just
yeah.
unimportant for the conversation.
yeah.
And I try not to talk down to people, but I mean, some people are very willing to open their mouth when they should be keeping quiet.
Mm. He said, as they both kept quiet.
I'm wondering if Daryl was falling asleep there.
No, I was also listening to what Lindsay was saying. Sorry. You know, when they try to talk to you and you're busy, you're like, what?
I've discovered that as a man, I can only do one thing. So like, don't talk to me while I'm
Ugh.
busy or something.
Mm. Yeah.
But I don't want to say this is the last afternoon one we can do, but my life changes from tomorrow.
Time frame?
So,
I'm
You're going to move to
assuming
the
that
evenings.
we're gonna have to move to an evening. So now the question is, we're gonna end here for
yeah.
live.
Monday
Goodbye,
evening.
Just
people.
don't forget to check out the podcast. You can listen to it. It's on Spotify. The Fresh Space. You can search us in case you want to listen to it there.
Yeah, so come and join us at Freshspace, where we will make sure you can define and discern whether you are